words that destroyed one daughter and unknowingly saved another were spoken without hesitation, without mercy, and without love. When a proud father looked the Duke straight in the eyes and said, "Take the pretty one," as if choosing a bride was no different from selecting an ornament.
Have
Never
you read
once
this passage
imagining
before?
that
It's
the
quite
man
fascinating.
before him would
Indeed,
look
it's a
past
remarkable insight
beauty
into the
and
subject.
choose the daughter the
We
world
cannot
had
proceed
already
with this
rejected.
arrangement. This
If
decision
you have
affects
ever
us
been
all.
ignored, compared, or made to feel invisible, this story will feel like it was written for you, because sometimes rejection is not the end of the road, but the beginning of a destiny no one else could see. Before this story pulls you deeper, take a moment to support this channel if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unseen strength. Like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. And also tell us in the comments where you are watching from, because your presence here makes these stories come alive. Elena Hawthorne had learned silence before she learned confidence. At 22 years old, she moved through life as if apologizing for existing, her steps quiet, her voice soft, her eyes trained to lower themselves before anyone else could dismiss her. She was the elder daughter of Edmund Hawthorne, a respected nobleman obsessed with status, appearances, and control. From the moment Elena could remember, she knew she was not what her father wanted. Where Elena was calm and thoughtful, her younger sister, Victoria, was radiant and admired. Where Elena listened, Victoria shined. The difference was clear to everyone, but no one felt it more deeply than Elena herself. Their mother had once balanced the household with warmth and fairness, but when illness took her life years earlier, the house grew colder, louder with expectations and quieter with affection. Edmund Hawthorne poured all his ambition into Victoria, praising her beauty, dressing her in fine fabrics, presenting her to society like a prized possession. Elena became an afterthought, useful only when silence or obedience was required. She was educated properly, not out of love, but out of obligation, trained to be graceful, but never encouraged to be confident, taught to behave, but never to believe she mattered. Elena found comfort where she could, in books, in long walks through the gardens, in observing people rather than impressing them. She noticed details others ignored, the fatigue behind smiles, the pain hidden behind polite laughter. Yet no one noticed her. At family gatherings, she stood at the edges of rooms, listening to conversations that never included her. Compliments were rare, affection even rarer. Over time, she accepted that she was the invisible daughter, the one not meant for admiration or dreams. Everything changed when word spread that Duke Alexander Ravenscroft was seeking a wife. His name carried weight across the region. He was known as a man of honor, reserved, disciplined, and deeply principled. Wealth surrounded him, but arrogance did not. He had inherited responsibility young, and learned early that character mattered more than charm. Families across the land prepared their daughters, polishing smiles and rehearsing conversations, hoping to catch his attention. Edmund Hawthorne saw the Duke's visit as the culmination of his ambitions. This was not about love, it was about legacy. From the moment the invitation arrived, Victoria became the center of the household. New gowns were ordered, lessons intensified, her laughter carefully guided. Elena was given tasks, not expectations. She was told to assist, to remain composed, to remember her place. The message was unspoken but clear. This moment was not meant for her. On the day the Duke arrived, the Hawthorne estate shimmered with forced perfection. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, servants moved with nervous precision, and anticipation filled every corner. Elena stood slightly behind her family, dressed simply, hands folded, heart steady, only because she expected nothing. Hope had long been removed from her list of possibilities. Duke Alexander entered with calm confidence, his presence quiet yet commanding. His eyes were observant, thoughtful, missing nothing. Edmund Hawthorne greeted him eagerly, boasting of his estate, his lineage, and finally his daughters. Victoria stepped forward gracefully, her beauty undeniable, her posture flawless. Elena remained still, prepared to disappear into the background once again. Then Edmund Hawthorne spoke the words that sealed Elena's understanding of her worth in his eyes. He gestured openly toward Victoria, praising her appearance, her charm, her future, offering her like a gift. "Take the pretty one." The room seemed to agree. Elena felt the familiar ache settle in her chest, not sharp anymore, but dull and practiced. She had been rejected so many times that it almost felt normal. But Duke Alexander did not respond immediately. He watched. He noticed Victoria's practiced smile, her nervous energy, the way she waited for approval. Then his gaze shifted, slowly, deliberately, toward Elena. He saw her stillness, not emptiness, but restraint. He saw eyes that held understanding, patience shaped by years of silence. He saw a woman who had learned strength the hard way. When he chose Elena, the air changed. Shock rippled through the room. Edmund Hawthorne froze, his confidence faltering. Victoria's expression tightened, confusion giving way to disbelief. Elena herself felt suspended between reality and fear, unable to process what was happening. She had not prepared for acceptance. She had not practiced being chosen. The days that followed were filled with tension. Edmund Hawthorne made no effort to hide his disappointment. Victoria withdrew into quiet resentment, her identity shaken. Elena was treated with distant politeness, as though she were an inconvenient truth no one wanted to address. Yet Duke Alexander remained steady. He treated Elena not as a replacement or a mistake, but as a deliberate choice. Leaving her childhood home was terrifying. Elena expected that at any moment the Duke would realize his error. But Ravenscroft Manor was different from anything she had known. It was grand yet calm, structured yet warm. No one raised voices. No one dismissed her presence. For the first time in her life, Elena was allowed to exist without justification. Still, the damage of years could not disappear overnight. Elena questioned every kindness, doubted every compliment, waited for rejection to arrive. Duke Alexander noticed her hesitation and gave her what no one ever had: time. He spoke to her as an equal, asked for her thoughts, listened without judgment. Slowly, trust began to form. Elena discovered that she was capable of more than obedience. She had insight, empathy, intelligence, shaped by observation. She read extensively, engaged in discussions, learned the responsibilities of the estate. The Duke encouraged her, not with pressure, but with respect. Each small success strengthened her confidence, piece by fragile piece. Society, however, was less kind. Whispers followed her at gatherings. Eyes measured her worth. Questions lingered unspoken. Elena felt the familiar pull of insecurity, but this time she did not face it alone. Duke Alexander stood beside her, unwavering. His support was quiet, but absolute, and that steadiness became her anchor. News from the Hawthorne estate reached her eventually. Edmund Hawthorne's influence weakened, his alliances strained by pride and poor judgment. Victoria struggled beneath expectations that beauty alone could not fulfill. Elena felt no satisfaction, only understanding. She knew too well how fragile worth could feel when built on approval. As time passed, Elena's presence transformed Ravenscroft Manor. She treated servants with dignity, listened to their concerns, supported local families. She used her position to uplift those overlooked by society, recognizing her own past in their struggles. Compassion became her strength, not her weakness. Love grew naturally, not from obligation, but from mutual respect. Duke Alexander admired Elena, not for changing, but for becoming who she had always been, beneath rejection. She learned that being chosen did not erase her past, but gave it meaning. Before we reach the end of this story, take a moment to comment below and share one time in your life when you felt rejected but kept going anyway. Your words might inspire someone who needs strength today. In the end, Elena stood confident, not flawless, but whole. She understood that rejection had prepared her for a life of depth and purpose. The words meant to dismiss her had redirected her path. The choice that shocked a room had healed a soul. She was not chosen instead of her sister. She was chosen because she was herself. And if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that worth is not defined by beauty or approval, please like this video, share it, and engage with the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Stories that remind us that sometimes the rejected one becomes the strongest of all.